If I asked you to name the first high-performance SUV, what would you say? The BMW X5M, which came out in 2010, that has 555 horsepower? Wrong. The Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8 that came out in 2005 with 425 horsepower? Wrong. The Porsche Cayenne Turbo that came out in 2003 with 500 horsepower? Wrong. Those are all wrong. In fact, the first performance SUV is actually this, the GMC Typhoon, which I've borrowed from a reader named Steve here in the Philadelphia area. If you correctly guessed the GMC Typhoon, you know your stuff. Also, you probably read the title to the video. Now, I'm going to take this particular GMC Typhoon for a drive in just a couple of minutes. But first, I'm going to show you around the Typhoon, and I'm going to tell you why I think the Typhoon is a future collectible. Of course, for more of my thoughts on that, click the link below to check out my column on autotrader.com/oversteer. First, the basics. The GMC Typhoon and its pickup version, the GMC Cyclone, came out in the early 1990s. The Typhoon was a modified version of the GMC Jimmy with some interior changes and some exterior upgrades, and most importantly, a turbocharged V6 under the hood with 280 horsepower and 360 pound-feet of torque. The result was 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds, which was roughly the same as the new Ferrari at the time, the 348. This is crazy. It would be like if the 2017 GMC Terrain had a version that did 0 to 60 at the same time as the Ferrari 488 GTB, 2.9 seconds. It was that crazy. Except it was actually weirder than that because the Typhoon made absolutely no sense. Back when the Typhoon came out, performance SUVs weren't common like they are now. It showed up a decade before the Porsche Cayenne, 8 years before the BMW X5. When the Typhoon came out, there wasn't even a Jeep Grand Cherokee. At the time, SUVs were big, slow, lumbering gas hogs that were loud and large. And then GMC comes out with one that accelerates at the same pace as a Ferrari. It was mind-boggling. Now, if you're a car enthusiast, you may already know about the Typhoon, but with less than 4,700 built over a 2-year period, you may have never seen one up close. So today, I'm going to give you a little tour of Steve's Typhoon. Climb inside the Typhoon and you're immediately struck by two things. One is all the reused General Motors bits and pieces. The Typhoon started at $29,970 back in 1992, which is equivalent to almost $53,000 today. And that money got you an old school GM door latch, window switch, and door locks, an old square dashboard and stereo head unit, these ancient climate controls, an old boxy gauge cluster, that GM font on all the buttons and levers, and those old GM seatbelts that also came in the Chevy Corsica. But you're also struck by something really cool about the Typhoon. Unlike modern cars that scream what they are,
there's one here, and one here, and one here, and one here, and one here.
The Typhoon's interior was awesomely subtle. It only says Typhoon in 2 places, on the glove box and on the seats. Of course, there were also a few unique features like the shift lever out of a Corvette, the cool, better bolstered leather sport seats, and in back, this weird zippered storage pouch. Okay, tour over. I want to get this thing on the road. All right, so we're driving the Typhoon. This is Steve. Steve owns the Typhoon. We're going to take this thing out and have some fun, but not too much fun because we don't want to die. I've always wanted to drive one of these, ever since I was a kid and I knew what they were on. So does anybody notice this on the road? Does anybody say like, yeah, it's like Typhoon?
Not too much. You get occasional thumbs up, but pretty rare.
So cruising, it seems pretty, I mean, it's comfortable. Right. The seats are nice and comfortable. You would think it would be sort of like high strung, but so far it's like, you're just kind of chilling.
When you're not in the turbo, it's just like any other
SUV of that.
Jimmy.
Right. What are these things generally worth? What is a nice one of these worth?
I think you want a nice one that has decent mileage under 50,000, stock, original, you're probably looking at around $15,000. Ultra low mileage, that's something, below 20,000 miles, you're above the $20,000 mark.
So when you enjoy them, I mean, do you do back road? What do you do with a Typhoon to have fun with it? Do you do back road driving, or do you just take it to the store and look at it?
Yeah, well, I mean, the meets, like I said, going to the club events. These are guys who really appreciate these things, who have owned them for years and know them inside and out.
We're kind of cooler than just about anybody on the road, don't you think? I mean, really. I think this is one of the cool. When I see these things, which is a once a year occurrence on the street, is like, oh, that's the kind. So I flip out. All right, here we go.
Go ahead.
Whoa!
driving.
Wow, that's impressive. That's really impressive. I guess, I mean, 0 to 60 in 5 point something, I guess I should have known that. But when you see him, it just doesn't look like it's going to happen, right? The thing is, when you have that kind of acceleration, you expect handling to match it, and that's not really quite the case in this car. It is a little vague, on center especially it's vague. I can move it a little bit without much change in direction, and it's a little floaty for sure.
And it's easily corrected with a different shaft and a different box, and a lot of guys do that. I like things as stock as possible, and they seem to break less when you just don't mess with them.
So at the end of the day, it's a 24-year-old truck. So back in the early 90s, you know, this tight handling that we're all used to was not like the kind of, you know, it just didn't happen on any vehicle, let alone like, we're going to try a performance SUV and see what happens. So there's not much sound to it. It's not like a big rumble, you know, like this Ram SRT10, that kind of, but obviously it's a V6. It's a turbocharged V6.
Right. There you go.
Man, it's surprisingly quick. I knew it would be quick, because that is, right? That's just like, we know it's, but I don't know, it's an old truck. You don't think it's going to be anything special. It definitely drives differently from a modern vehicle. And the turbo lag is one way, like, right? Like I wasn't expecting it to be quick because we're driving around town and it's just normal. And then you push it down and it's like, whoa. But
it's more raw. The whole truck is more raw.
That's part of the thrill though, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about the muscle cars of the 60s and 70s, how we feel about them now.
Right.
This is where we're at with this car. This is an old muscle truck now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when this came out, it was as far from the muscle car era as we are from this.
Exactly.
Which is hard to imagine.
I know, it's crazy.
So the Typhoon's steering is slow and vague. It doesn't handle like a modern sports car, or even a modern sort of sports car. But what were we expecting? It's a 25-year-old General Motors SUV. And I'll tell you one thing, it's fast. And not fast for a 25-year-old General Motors SUV. It's fast. And this look still makes me turn my head whenever I happen to stumble across one.
So that's the GMC Typhoon, an ultra-rare high-performance SUV that predates all other high-performance SUVs. And that's why I think it's going to be especially collectible. Because it's fast? Sure. Because it's rare? Of course. Because it's turbocharged? Yeah. But mostly because this is the grandfather of the high-performance SUV. You think your BMW X5M is cool? Your Cayenne Turbo? Well, it started right here.